We just got a crazy injury update pertaining to one of the Jets' star players who we would have loved to have for the rest of the season, and we have to break it all down. What's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Jets Football 365. If you're a New York Jet fan, please hit that subscribe button. But getting into the news for today, coming from ESPN's Adam Schefter on X, Jets placed wide receiver Garrett Wilson on injured reserve, and he'll now be out a minimum of 4 games. Unfortunately, Garrett Wilson was dealing with a knee injury earlier in the season, which knocked him out of 2 games, and then now he has re-injured that same knee injury, and they have decided, the New York Jets front office and coaching staff has decided the injured reserve list is the right move for Garrett Wilson. This means he will be ineligible to play the next 4 games for the New York Jets with a possibility of missing more. That means he'll be out week 11, 12, 13, 14 at absolutely minimum. This means he's out tonight versus the New England Patriots. We're going to see how we are going to manage without him. Justin Fields, if he's a starting quarterback, we still don't know who the starting quarterback is going to be because Aaron Glenn keeps it close to the vest, is most likely going to struggle. Whoever that starting quarterback is going to be, he is going to struggle, but this isn't all bad for the New York Jets, as there are 2 guys that they can now get a closer look at now that the number 1 wide receiver is not in the offense. One of the guys that I'm talking about is, of course, Adonai Mitchell, the trade acquisition from the Indianapolis Colts, coming over as a part of the Sauce Gardner trade deal. The New York Jets traded Sauce Gardner to the Indianapolis Colts for 2 first-round picks and this player, Adonai Mitchell. Adonai Mitchell, nicknamed 80 Mitchell, was selected in the 2024 NFL draft, so 2 years ago, in the second round out of the University of Texas. The dude is over 6 feet tall, ran crazy fast at the NFL Combine, and can be expected to be a deep threat for the New York Jets. Arian Smith hasn't broken out yet. Of course, only 10 weeks into his rookie season, he doesn't have to break out. And, if you were an Arian Smith fan, don't panic yet. But Adonai Mitchell brings a lot of the same style that Arian Smith would add to this football team. A deep threat who is not only going to take the top off the defense by catching bombs over the top, but what he is going to be able to do on a more consistent basis is stretch the defense out, which will give some more underneath guys more opportunities to get open and catch the football. It's going to be Garrett Wilson, when he gets healthy, is going to be able to get more space and separation underneath, and starting tight end Mason Taylor will also be able to get more spots underneath. Now, Adonai Mitchell got in pretty bad with the Indianapolis Colts after dropping should have been a bomb touchdown versus the LA Rams. Would have won the game for them on that play most likely, but what definitely would have won the play for the Colts versus the Rams in that same game was Adonai Mitchell had a holding penalty, which negated a really long Jonathan Taylor run. So his teammates weren't, the biggest fans of him because after these mistakes, and the coaching staff definitely didn't like him. He's also stuck as the 4th string wide receiver on the Indianapolis Colts, but now he enters the New York Jets depth chart, which is very, very, very light when it comes to wide receiver talent. Adonai Mitchell currently expected by ESPN to be the number 1 wide receiver for the New York Jets, and he certainly has the most talent on the New York Jets depth chart when it comes to wide receivers. However, there is another wide receiver a little bit farther down the depth chart that we'll also have a better opportunity to see now that Garrett Wilson is out with that injury. John Mechie III, the trade acquisition from the Philadelphia Eagles. A couple weeks ago, we traded them Michael Carter, the second, our slot nickel corner, whatever you want to call him, shipped him to Philadelphia, picked up John Mechie, who was a second-round pick 3 years ago in 2023 of the Houston Texans. He was drafted in the second round out of Alabama, dealt with some pretty heavy, pretty tough medical issues off the field. It wasn't so it was illnesses that kept him out of games, so it hurts him from football shape, but overall it wasn't like a lower body injury or anything that you would think that would affect him for a really, really long term. If John Mechie puts his nose to the grindstone, he can get back to the shape that he was in prior to going out with his illness, and he still can be a guy who can affect this offense in a phenomenal way. Now, John Mechie, unlike Adonai Mitchell, who is pretty much the exact opposite of Garrett Wilson, John Mechie, his skill set is a lot more similar to what Garrett Wilson brings to the table. So should John Mechie, play above play up to his draft stock and play better than how he's played in the NFL, you don't expect him to be like a perfect complement to Garrett Wilson. He would just be more of an addition, and his ceiling on this team isn't as high as the ceiling of Adonai Mitchell. And part of that is he's been in the NFL for 3 years instead of 2 years, or this is his 3rd year instead of his 2nd year. So theoretically, he has less time to break out than Adonai Mitchell. But also, John Mechie was not seen coming out of the draft as the caliber of prospect that Adonai Mitchell was. Most draft analysts had Adonai Mitchell in the first round of the 2024 mock drafts. I saw him a lot to the Bills, which would have made a lot of sense. The Buffalo Bills are a team that needs wide receiver help. Fortunately, we also need wide receiver help. So I'm glad that we picked up Adonai Mitchell. That was a very, very highly underrated part of that trade for the New York Jets. But talking about what they have cooking in the wide receiver room, Allen Lazard, he's not anyone that's going to do anything for this team. So if I know some people are, Allen Lazard believers, but I'm talking to one person right here, Joseph, if you're watching the video right now, Allen Lazard, I told you, I don't care what his stats say. He's not good. The stats don't fool me. He's not good. Josh Reynolds was never going to be more than a low-end wide receiver 3 into a wide receiver 4. He's also on IR. Probably not going to be a long-term piece for the New York Jets, but receiving threats aren't just wide receivers. They can also come in the form of running backs, or what I'm more interested in is tight ends. Do not forget about Mason Taylor, the rookie tight end out of LSU. Usually, rookie tight ends take a really long time to develop in the NFL. This comes from the fact that they have to learn both the pass game and the run game. They have to learn how to run routes like a wide receiver, have the hands of a wide receiver, while at the same time learning all of the blocking schemes that the offensive linemen have to learn and the blocking techniques that all of the offensive linemen have to learn. And this leads to a much more difficult learning curve for young tight ends coming out of college into the NFL. So do not be discouraged by Mason Taylor's lack of production so far. I know we just have seen Brock Bowers have a crazy breakout as a rookie. We're watching Oronde Gadsden break out as a rookie. Sam Laporta broke out as a rookie, and Kyle Pitts had over 1,000 yards as a rookie. I know we've seen in recent history a whole lot of rookie tight ends breaking out, but just remember, not every tight end breaks out as a rookie. Historically, they really never do, and it still isn't the end of the world in modern times. Tucker Kraft didn't do a whole lot in his rookie year, and then arguably the best tight end in football, currently Trey McBride, did nothing, legitimately nothing in his rookie year. So Mason Taylor still has a leg up on a whole lot of tight ends. If you're looking at his stats, comparing them to historical rookie seasons out of tight ends, also you have to take into account Mason Taylor is playing in a really, really, really poor passing offense. Justin Fields is really struggling to run up passing yards and struggling just to move the football in general. Last game, Justin Fields had 12 yards before that long Breece Hall dump off screen pass for the touchdown. If Justin Fields didn't have that touchdown pass to Breece Hall, I don't even want to think about what his stats would have looked like. So we can give really everyone in this wide receiver room, they get an asterisk on their production this year because the passing offense has been that level of putrid. Got to figure something out. We're going to see if Tanner Engstrand has any more tricks up his sleeve. Playing the Patriots in a couple hours. Can't wait to see how that turns out. With no Garrett Wilson, we're not going to win the game. But hey, I said, including the last 3 games and tonight as the 4th game, I've been telling people we were going to go 2-2. Right now, over that 4-game stretch, we are 2-1 with 1 game to go. 2-2, pretty good prediction. I think we'll take that. Starting from where we were at 0-7, I think Jet fans will take 2-2. Let's see where the rest of the season takes us. Hopefully, we can put a beatdown on the Patriots in their own place in primetime. Probably won't happen. The New York Jets are 10.5-point underdogs. If you're a betting man, take those odds. Take the New York Jets spread. Primetime game. Divisional matchup points to this will not be a blowout. Just look at last week. The Raiders were plus 9.5 versus the Denver Broncos. They covered. If you bet it, you made money. Bet it this time. Go make yourself some money. But that's what I got for this video. If you stuck around this long, appreciate you taking the time to watch it. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and go Jets.